What is going on, my peeps? Your boy Versatile is back with another video. Back here talking about Samsung Unpacked 2020. And boy, did Samsung unpack a ton for us to get into today. Yes, as they leaked their own foldable phone during the Oscars Sunday night, 2 days prior to today, they came right out the gate with the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that Samsung Galaxy Z Flip is probably the best phone they released between the four, including even the Galaxy Fold from last year. But before we get into why, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, share this content anywhere. Those who like Samsung stuff, tech, Android, just go ahead and share it if you can. I definitely appreciate it. The rest of us appreciate it as well. Now let's get into the video. So what makes the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip so cool? Well, first of all, it is below what we thought the price was going to be by $20. Priced at $13.80. So yes, that's kind of high for phones, period. But at least this phone justifies more the pricing than the Motorola Razr. The Z Flip is actually pretty good in terms of the specs. Now, this phone is the only phone of the four that they unveiled today that does not have 5G. The reason why it doesn't have 5G is because the chipset that it's using, and the chipset that it's using is the Snapdragon 855 Plus, which is not a bad processor by no means. And that's a good thing because the Razr has the Snapdragon 710. I don't know why they even opted for that, but it's nice to see that Samsung's like, nah, we're gonna give you a good processor. We're gonna give you 8 gigs of RAM. We're gonna give you 256 gigs of storage. There's only one model. And to me, 5G is not a big deal. Like, at least not yet. It's still in its infancy. It's still barely anywhere. So for those reasons, 5G still isn't a big deal, but we'll get into why I do appreciate what Samsung did in regards to 5G after the Z Flip. So what else did the Z Flip have? Well, I also like the video that they displayed where they kind of showed you the trailer again that they showed during the Oscars, and then came right out the gate. I think her name was Rebecca Hurst. Came out, showed the flip off in person. I like how they changed their angle, like their camera angles. Actually had an on-stage camera guy to come through and show off the phone. It's very shiny, very glossy, very fingerprint sensitive. Hopefully skins will be available, and I think skins will really take this phone to another level. To me, will I use a skin? We'll see, just because, you know, the outline around the camera, stuff like that. But the phone looks very, very good. What else about this phone is so good? Well, the battery is also bigger than the Razrs. It's 3,300 milliamps, 15 watt fast charging, and Qi wireless charging. So, and I would imagine that Qi wireless charging may also be 15 watt. Wouldn't be surprising. It is interesting that it's only 15 watt, but considering the size in which the phone is, it probably makes sense as to why. The folding mechanism itself can withstand about 200,000 folds, and the screen size when unflipped is 6.7 inches. It's considered the Infinity Flex display, and it's an OLED Quad HD panel, which is also dope. And then on the front, the flip side, it has a 1.1 inch OLED display for notifications and stuff. So this device is looking pretty good. Now the hinge has like a built-in dual cam mechanism, which is similar to like laptops. So what's considered flex mode is you can open it, but you don't have to open it fully. You can have it kind of more at angles like a laptop would, how you can kind of, you know, move the laptop around. And you can actually use the software that Samsung and Google worked intuitively with, or they collabed on, you could say. I don't know why I said intuitively, but it is an intuitive software, you know, designed for being able to split the screen so that you can take pictures without having to touch a phone. You can set the phone up in a way as they displayed on stage, and you can take a picture hands-free, and then you can come down and operate the controls on the bottom half of the screen while the upper half of the screen displays a picture or the video. And you can do the same with YouTube, and they've even optimized YouTube for the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, and Netflix overall across all phones have been even more optimized on Samsung's devices. So that's also a plus. So the Z Flip is pretty good. Here are the cameras. You get a 10 megapixel f2.4 selfie camera and dual 12 megapixel ultra wide and regular wide angle cameras for the rear. That's pretty good. that's pretty good for this phone. Like, and of course Samsung's cameras are not bad, so you're getting quality cameras on this new type of or innovative type of tech. I'm not mad at it. It's very solid. I like the Z Flip. I wish I could have got the Z Flip. With so much going on this year in terms of me and my wife, it's our 5-year anniversary. Go us, go us. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? My finances are tied up to actually buy that device outright through Samsung, and T-Mobile, I guess, forfeited or backed out of actually carrying the device. So I was really like this close to getting it, but they backed out of carrying the Z Flip. So I won't be able to get the Z Flip. I would love for Samsung and I to collaborate on a project for the Z Flip. That'll be cool. But in the meantime, I won't be able to get that one. The device I will be getting will be between the S20, S20 Plus, and S20 Ultra. Now, here's my reasons on why I'm not getting the Ultra. To me, Samsung wasted a SKU. They could have taken what they put in the Ultra and put in the S20 Plus, and they could have just had a total of 3 devices that were displayed today: an S20, an S20 Plus, and the Z Flip. But they didn't do that. They decided to have a whole other device that costs $1,400, which makes no sense, in the Galaxy Ultra or the Galaxy S20 Ultra, and I think it's going to compete bad against its own brethren in the Z Flip, which costs $20 cheaper. So I don't know why Samsung priced it so high like that, because the only difference between that and the other devices is really its cameras and its slight bump in size in terms of display. Now, what do all the devices have in common for the most part? Well, let me tell you. They all have 5G, but the S20, the standard S20, has sub-6 5G, which is not as fast as the ultra-fast millimeter wave, or mmW, that's in the S20 Plus and S20 Ultra. So when 5G becomes a big deal and you still have your S20 phone, you'll still be able to utilize 5G on all 3. You'll just get faster speeds on the S20 Plus and S20 Ultra. They all also have 120 Hz refresh rates, and the only way you can access them is via Full HD Plus, or basically just above 1080p, which to me is fine, because on the Pixel 4 XL or the Pixel 4 series, I was hoping Google would make it acceptable or allowed within the software in terms of options to be able to turn on 90 Hz even with a Full HD as opposed to QHD. And so to me, on the phone side that's as big as it is, even though it's nicely sized, anything below 7 inches and really not a non-tablet size, we don't really need QHD like that, even though I like it. Even I have realized you really don't need QHD on a phone. And it's nice to see that Samsung, for battery purposes and probably just for common sense purposes, allowing Full HD Plus with 120 Hz refresh rate is actually the perfect option. And you have to go in the settings to turn 120 refresh rate on, because it's 60 Hz is on by default, and they only show, I believe, between 60 and 120, so there's no 90 Hz. So I guess that makes sense. It's not a big deal to me in terms of that department, but it is nice to see that we get 120 Hz this year, and Samsung is finally doing it. And so, like, with them making arguably the best displays on the market, them also utilizing 120 Hz, great. They all feature good batteries. The standard S20 has 4,000, the S20 Plus has 4,500, and the S20 Ultra has 5,000. Now, the S20 and the S20 Plus have 25 watt fast charging, and the S20 Ultra has 45 watt fast charging. I would have liked to see the 45 watt in the S20 Plus, just because it just belongs there. But as it is, only the S20 Ultra has the 45 watt fast charging. Now, in terms of wireless charging, I believe they all take advantage of 15 watt fast charging. Would have liked to see that bumped up, at least for the Ultra, to like 20 watts or so, but as it stands, 15 watts still is pretty decent for wireless charging. What else is relatively similar? They all have flat displays now, or flatter displays, so that waterfall or the curved display is kind of not here this time, which is a plus. It's a super plus. After using the Pixel 4 for as long as I have since its release, and using the OnePlus 7 Pro, the OnePlus 7 Pro curved display, although it looks beautiful and it's still nice, I prefer the flat screen. It's so much easier to use, carry around, grab out the pockets, all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to see Samsung kind of revert back to a more flatter-ish display, or at least the back of the phone being raised. So that way, if it does tilt towards the edge, your hands don't intermittently touch the display and, accidentally cause touches and stuff like that. So that's a plus. Now the sizes, the S20 is 6.2 inches in size, the S20 Plus is 6.7, and the S20 Ultra is 6.9. That's just too much. Like, they might as well make the Z Flip 6.9 because you could close it. 6.9 is a big pocket sore. And the price is $1,400. The S20 is $1,000 and S20 Plus is $1,100. So if you haven't gauged by now, if you want, you could go ahead and guess down in the comments below which one I'm getting between the three. I'll give you a second. Go ahead and pause. I'm getting the S20 Plus, and that's because it's a perfect medium between the two. I still get everything from the S20. I still get largely some of the features that are in the S20 Ultra, of course, but I don't have to pay an arm and a foot for cameras that I don't really care for as much. I like the blueprint of 6.7 inches, flatter display, 4,500 milliamp battery, 120 hertz refresh rate, all that good jazz for $1,100, although it's still higher than what it needs to be. The reason why I think the prices are also higher across the board, across those three S20 devices, is because of 5G being implemented or integrated now. Samsung's kind of future-proofing their devices, and that's why I think the expedited prices of $1,000, $1,100, and $1,400 are here, in part because of 5G. Now, do I like that? No, just because 5G is still not a big deal. But yes, on top of that, because Samsung at least sees the need to future-proof their devices now and not make multiple other devices later, such as a S20 5G later outside of a regular S20. They're all 5G enabled. So that's the plus out of this that I see from Samsung. Now, what are the differences in cameras? All right, so here's the cameras for the S20 Ultra, because I was almost confused with all the camera stuff. So it has a 40 megapixel selfie camera, which is crazy. 108 megapixel standard shooter that bends the pixels down to 12 megapixels, which means you're gonna get a very, very solid photo at 12 megapixels from 108 megapixels. And then you get the same 12 megapixel ultra wide that you get across the Samsung Galaxy S20 and S20 Plus, but you get a 48 megapixel f3.5 telephoto lens on the S20 Ultra, as opposed to the 64 meg. Oh wait, what? Oh no, that's right. I'm confused. Oh, see, as I told you, I was gonna get kind of slightly confused. So apparently, the S20 and S20 Plus actually get 64 megapixel f2.0 telephoto lens, and the S20 Ultra gives a 48 megapixel f3.5 telephoto lens. Now, I would have expected that to be inversed, and the Ultra to have the bigger telephoto lens. That's interesting. Now, what Samsung is doing with the Ultra in terms of the optical and digital zoom is creating what's called space zoom, and it's achieved by using both optical and digital zoom in terms of hardware and software to help maximize or be able to zoom in on objects. And so the S20 and S20 Plus max out at 3 times zoom, but the Ultra basically maxes out around, if I could find it, 10 times zoom, if that's correct. I can't talk right now. I told you this camera stuff is crazy. Now I had it here. I don't know where it went. But yeah, essentially you can zoom in at like 3, 5, and 10, or 3x and 10x zoom. So either way, it's crazy. And when they demonstrated it on stage, it was pretty impressive how much they could zoom in. Now to me, just like with the Pixel 4 series ability to take astrophotography, the best way to achieve that is by using some sort of a tripod or stationary position to get your good shot. So likewise with space zoom or zooming in that close, you want to make sure your device is stabilized or stationary, so that way it doesn't get any shake and whatnot. So when you go to take that picture, you won't have jitter and stutter and blur and all that type of stuff. It's going to take a nice solid photo. And that's not bad. Like Google's, 8 times, if you increase it all the way up to 8 times zoom with their telephoto lens, it's still pretty clear. So it's going to be interesting to see what Samsung has done with their zoom tech this year with the S20 series. And then in terms of video, they all can record 8K, and they have a partnership with YouTube to be able to upload directly with 8K files. And if you have a Samsung 2019 or basically a Samsung QLED 8K TV, it will play back that 8K content. That's dope. If you have an 8K TV or an 8K monitor, something that could take advantage of 8K. To me, again, it's one of those things we don't necessarily need, so it's not as big of a deal. But it's nice to see that for the price, Samsung is throwing the bucket of hardware and software into their phones. And then of course you get Android 10 on top of everything with One UI 2.0 also slabbed on top of that, which of course has been a delight. So in terms of these phones, and then they're all HDR 10 plus certified, so you can watch HDR content. So it's pretty interesting to see nonetheless what Samsung was able to pack into these devices. I heard that they're pretty light in terms of like the hands-on. You definitely notice the heft difference between the S20 Ultra and the other two. To me, it's probably not a big deal. I kind of like the fact that I know that my phone is there. But yes, for this channel, unless Samsung comes to hooking us up with some products and whatnot, which I would love, I'm getting the S20 Plus through T-Mobile, and that's a device I'm probably going to actually try to keep long-term in terms of being my daily driver. And my Pixel 4 XL will unfortunately, stay on Jump On Demand unless finances clear themselves and I actually can keep this one as well, and then use this as trade-in credits for the Pixel 5. But that's what I'm doing. You guys will see the S20 Plus here, and I believe with all the devices, when you pre-order them, Samsung is throwing in the new Galaxy Buds Plus along with the device, which kind of helps the price a little bit, kind of helps soak some of that price up. It essentially knocks all the devices down $150 when they throw them in there. So you're effectively paying $850 for the S20, $950 for the S20 Plus, and $1250 for the S20 Ultra, and then like $1230 for the Galaxy Z Flip, which is dope. And the Flip has a special edition with Tom Brown, a fashion company or whatever, which is cool. And then like the setup you get is Galaxy Buds Plus, the Galaxy Z Flip, and it's designed differently, which is cool. So I already have the Galaxy Buds. I love them, and I like the bump in upgrades with the additional mic, the improved subwoofer and tweeters, and improved battery life, both for the Buds and for the case. The Buds, you can achieve like 22 hours worth of listening through them, and then with the case, you can, I think that's in total, yeah, in total you can get that, but you can get 12 hours of listening time with the Buds, and then with the case it's 22 to 24 hours. So that's a bump up from 6 and 13. It's basically 2 times that. So good job improving the Buds Plus. I'm looking forward to them, and the price for those is $150, which is $20 more than last year's Buds, but for the upgrades it's not bad, and for the price it's not bad considering how much AirPods cost and other like really nice set of earbuds cost. Samsung nailed it on the head there. And so what an event Samsung had. Samsung really did their thing with the Unpacked event this year. Again, I wish they would have just released a total of 3 devices, S20, S20 Plus, with the S20 Ultra specs and the Galaxy Z Flip. But they just like releasing as many phones as possible. Aside from that, great time watching it. So let me know you guys' thoughts down below. What do you guys think about the S20 series, about the Z Flip? Are you guys getting any of them? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll be looking forward to the conversations. But your boy Versatile signing out. And until the next video, chugga 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 chugga. Wait, boy.